So I want you to either begin on your back or on your belly, and you're going to decide that. So on your belly, I would more mean like a child's pose rather than laying directly on your belly, but you could start directly on your belly or on your back for the first few minutes just to start to come into the earth element. So we want to ground, and one of the best ways to ground is to be on the earth and to lay on the earth. As soon as I got home from work today, I immediately took off my shoes and stood on the grass for a while. And so if you haven't done that today, in addition to it being the 54th celebration of Earth Day, we are in Taurus season, which is all about our connection to the earth, to sensuality. In the Northern Hemisphere, this opens the middle of spring, which is the most beautiful blossoming time of spring, and there is so much blooming around us. So in the practice, we ground through coming to the back, coming to the belly, really bringing our body in as much contact to the earth as we can, but then take some time. And we are coming into the full moon as well. So if you can spend some time tonight, tomorrow night, with your feet on the earth, under the moon, or somehow be outside as close to the earth, as close to the moon as you can, I would highly recommend it. So as you feel into the earth, just take some deep breaths, and maybe again, you can either just rest your hands on the ground or you can rest your hands on your body, depending on the position. So you can be on the belly, on the back, you could be in child's pose. And just start to breathe into the belly and feel your body. And can you start to give yourself permission to let go? And we're going to do a little bit of active muscle release since we are grounding here. So on a next inhale, as you take a breath in, I want you to squeeze your body. Feel your feet, your legs, your arms, your belly, your face. Squeeze all the muscles that you can. Squeeze and hold the breath and hold the squeeze. And then open your mouth and let it all go and sink a little bit more into the earth. And just again, make the connection to the land you're on, the planet that we're all on. And then again, take a deep, deep breath in. Squeeze your hands, squeeze your face, squeeze your legs, squeeze your belly, squeeze your back, squeeze and hold the breath and hold the tension and hold and hold and hold. And when you can't hold anymore, open mouth, exhale, let it all go. And can you settle closer to the earth? Can you get even just a little bit closer to the earth? And you imagine your body sinking into the earth, the soil, the flowers, the grass, the trees. And then one more time, big, big, big breath in, squeeze, 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 hold as tight as you can. And then hold your breath, squeeze your body a little bit more, hold it even a little bit longer than you think you possibly can. Hold, and then let it go. Surrender to the earth, to the water, to the fire, to the air, to the four directions and to the elements, to the above, to the below, under this full moon, this full bloom as we enter the mid-spring. Call in a sense of gratitude for your body, for the earth, for the planet, for the elements, for the opportunity. This is a shedding full moon. It's bright and it's blossoming, but it's also a shedding in the same way that when a flower blossoms, right? Like that's kind of the beginning of its transition, its transformation. And so this is everything that's come up this past few weeks, this past month. Some of the cycles we've been in have been from many, many years ago. So this full moon is an opportunity to open up, and then let go. And can you imagine your body on the earth under a bright full moon, and the full moon shining over you? And that same way that we squeezed and released, we allow that release into the earth under the moon. Take another big, just big, big breath in. big breath in and just hold at the top. No force, no tightness, just hold. But this time, feel your body expand and open, lengthen, and then open mouth, let it go. And I want you to begin to come into some spinal movement, but I'm going to keep this intuitive. So if you're on your back, you might take your hands to your knees and start to draw circles with your hips. With your, I'm sorry, hands to knees. Yes, that's what I mean. Hip circles. Sorry to get into ritual brain. I remember my right and left for a little bit longer. If you're on your belly and you're comfortable coming up to all fours, you can start to circle, or from either position, if you'd like to come to seated and start to do spirals or cat cow. But just consider again, we want to stay grounded. We are going to move into the water element and move into the hips. For the full moon tomorrow is the fixed water sign. But these signs balance each other. So we want to stay grounded and rooted. So this is the water that nourishes the flowers, right? Like if you don't water the plants, like they're not going to grow. So water and earth, very symbiotic relationship, right? And of course, all the elements are involved, but these particular elements are the yin elements. So just starting to, again, from a very grounded place, can you start to circle your spine? Can you start to bring in movement? And so we invoke, right, those elements, specifically earth and water. So when we move through the chakras, the root chakra is earth. The first chakra is earth because that's the container. And then we come into water, sacral chakra. If you just start pouring water, right, with nowhere to go, it will eventually make it back to the earth, but it might not plant the seed that you want it to, right? So there's this very intentional energy with water and earth, right? We want to water specific earth. In this case, we're watering our body, the landscape of our physical structure, our sensual structure, with the emotional elixir of the water element. Circle the other way if you haven't already. And again, just throughout this practice, especially if you start to feel agitated or frustrated or distracted, come back to earth. Come back to surrendering to the earth, bringing yourself to the earth. And Taurus in general, and we'll talk more about this as we get towards the new moon in a few weeks, rules the senses and the neck. So a great practice, anytime in Taurus cycle is to literally come into the senses. So one of the mantras for Taurus season is stop and smell the roses, right? So anything you can do during these hip openers, these particular postures that can bring up sort of emotional history, come back to your senses. What do you see? What do you smell? What do you taste? What are you feeling? What is the sensation? And that's how we can work with these elements. And then very gently bring yourself into a neutral position. So knees to chest, or child's pose, or just anywhere where you can sort of draw yourself in. If you're seated, you can bend your knees and round towards your knees. And again, just coming back to gratitude for the time to practice, for our bodies, for the earth. And then we'll slowly make our way up to stand. So take your time to make that transition depending on where you are, no rush. We're going to pause in mountain for just a moment. And even take your feet maybe at shoulder distance. Take a hand to heart, a hand to belly, and feel your feet. And so one of the most grounding things we can do is put our feet on the earth. And again, if you can actually lay on the earth, even more grounding, but at minimum, putting your feet there. We connect to the electromagnetic energy of our planet. And here we tune in to our own electromagnetic fields, that quality of gratitude, presence. And nothing brings us into the present like our senses, like what we're seeing, hearing, tasting, sensing right now. And we will invoke this lunar energy. And we will work with the Soma mantra. So there's a couple of mantras for the moon. We normally work with Chandra, which is the general moon energy. Sometimes we'll work on the full moon with Purnima, which is the translation for full moon, but there's also Somaya, and Soma is the moon nectar. And so we're working with this energy, and we're going to do it slow. We're going to do it one at a time, one word at a time. So there's 4 words: Om, Som, S-O-M, Somaya, Swaha. So Om is the invoking seed. It's also the connection to the universe. Som and Somaya are the calling in the energy of Soma, the moon nectar. And then Svaha is the surrender invocation. We surrender to the juicy elixir of the moon, basically, is what that translates to. So we'll do it one word at a time, which is kind of different. So we'll do Om, then Som, then Somaya, and then Swaha. And you can also just listen or hum if you would rather, if that's too much. Om. So. Somaya. Swaha. We vow to invoke and surrender to the juicy elixir of this full moon. Yes, thank you. More, please. Inhale, reach your arms up to the sky. Stretch and lift. Big breath in. Exhale, soft knees, swan dive forward. Bow to the earth. Inhale, hands to shins, lengthen up halfway. Exhale, fold, soft knees. Inhale, circle the arms wide or stretch them up, reach up, open up a little bit more towards the sky as you press your feet into the earth and hands to heart. Again, inhale, sweep the arms up, lift, lengthen, press through your feet. Exhale, dive down, bow to the earth. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep it up, honor the moon, connect to the moon, and hands to heart. One more time, Ardha Surya Namaskar. Inhale. Exhale, bow. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Inhale, circle it up. Reach, pause, exhale, hands to heart. Again, inhale, reach up, lift up, hold, and then exhale, fold and pause. And just start to wiggle around in Uttanasana. You can always grab blocks here or fold over the bed or the chair, the couch. And just start to bend your knees, rock your hips, shake out your head. Big, big inhale. Exhale out the mouth. Soft knees, roll it up one vertebra at a time. Head is the last thing to come up. Open your heart, turn your palms out. And then inhale, reach it up. Exhale, hand to heart, hand to belly, soften the knees, start to circle the hips again here. So those hip circles in any position, really wonderful to open the hips, the low back, gently strengthen the core as well. So think about your belly drawing in a little bit, press your feet down. Spine stays long here, nice and slow. Deep breath. So the top of the inhale is the full moon point. So see as you breathe, if you can at least just sort of pause at the top, reverse the direction. And that helps us to harness that space. back to stillness. Pause for a moment, deep breath in. Lift at the top, lengthen. Exhale, release. And just give your legs a little shake. So if you have room where you are, you can stay here. Otherwise, we'll turn wide on the mat because we'll do some things with the legs wide. But as you turn on the mat, just have the feet about hip width distance. And then you can bring your hands to your hips. You can also move the arms. We're going to start to work with the hips a little bit. So as you inhale, you'll draw one knee up and you'll step open into temple. And then you'll draw the other knee in and circle it out and step open. So depending on your knees and your balance and your hips, this might be a very small, slow movement. And it's okay if, again, you can't come up that high or come down that low. But that rotation and lift, again, we're stretching and we're strengthening through the joints here. But this doesn't, definitely, again, doesn't have to be a fast movement or a big movement. And again, if you want to move your arms with, reach your arms up and stretch them out as you step out or anything like that. Sometimes that can also help the balance. Or just keep your hands at your hips or your hands to your heart. And if it gets to be too much, you can just pause for a moment. A lot of times this is a movement we do during the waning cycle, but again, this is a shedding full moon. So helping to just open up and release any stuck energy through the sacral chakra. Few more. And again, take your time. This doesn't have to be a huge movement. It does start to warm us up, right? Which is good because we do want the hips open and warm. Do one more to each side. And then we're going to hold that temple. So when you come onto that last side, we're going to hold temple. So again, it doesn't have to be that wide. And if the knees are sensitive, they can just have a little bend in the knees or just keep the legs straight. Toes are facing out. Spine is long. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, sit down into temple just as much as you can. Now push your feet into the earth. So think about that connection to the earth. Soften your jaw. Soften your face. If you need to come out of it, come out of it. Otherwise, just sitting back into the hips, pressing through your feet. Jaw soft. Deep breath in. Hold, lift. Exhale it out. Inhale, sweep the arms up, straighten the legs, lift up. Keep the legs straight, bring the right arm down the right leg, left arm overhead or behind the head. Squeeze the legs isometrically towards each other, pull the belly and lengthen your tailbone. Press through your feet. And then inhale, sweep the arms up, come back through center, hands to heart, back into temple. Another lovely sort of Taurus affirmation. The body is a temple. Keep it pure for the soul to reside. Vikiya Sayengar. And so the earth energy, we honor the temple, and then we have that soul energy. Big breath in, hold. Exhale, let it go. Inhale, sweep the arms up, squeeze the legs, reach up, lift up. With that lift, stretch over to the left. Press through your feet, squeeze the legs together without changing the shape. All right, so those inner thighs start to activate. Soften the jaw. We want to create as much space here for that full moon, that soma to soak through, right? Like a beautiful garden that's just ready to receive nourishment, to bloom. We've been doing a lot of work this month. And inhale, reach, uplift. Exhale again, back through temple. Sit back into the hips, soften the jaw. Relax your face. Again, really make sure the jaw is relaxed. Even open the mouth and wiggle the jaw. The jaw likes to tighten up to protect the hips. Let's actually do a lion's breath here. Big breath in. Stick out the tongue on the exhale. Inhale, reach up, stretch. And we're gonna flow a little bit. Exhale, bend the knees as much as you can. Circle the arms. And don't make this too big of a movement unless that feels really good for you. And you can do this with the arms straight. I'm not sorry, the legs straight. And just create that flow. Where you're sitting back into your hips, pressing down through your feet. Few more. Good. And then inhale, reach up, legs straight. Point your toes forward, legs as wide as is comfortable, and then come down into the forward fold. You can use blocks here. You can use a chair here. Press down through your feet. So again, the legs can walk out as wide as it's comfortable. Make sure the toes are forward or slightly turned in. A little softness through the knees, hips drop back. And then you can just stay here and enjoy the stretch, or we'll play with a little skandasana, which is bending, alternating legs. So you'll shift to one side, bend the knee, straighten the other. And if you've had kind of enough of that movement and you need a break, then just enjoy the forward fold, which wide leg forward fold is opening calves, hamstrings, hips, decompressing the spine. So it does a lot. If it feels good, even just a little bit to shift side to side, or a lot, you can really walk over to each side as you bend the knee. Long spine. And then settle towards center. Right hand under the face, left hand to the low back or to the sky, and gently twist. Ring out a little bit here. Exhale, release, left hand under the face. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, right hand to low back or towards the sky. Soft knees, hips back. Roll that right shoulder down and back. Inhale. Exhale, release. Shake it out a little bit. And then heel toe your feet in to about shoulder distance apart. And again, depending on how your knees are feeling, you might just hold on to opposite elbows and rock here. Otherwise, we'll turn the feet out slightly and we're going to inhale, bend the knees into squat and then extend. So just a little bit of a flow here. So again, the legs can be straight and feet parallel and just roll around, rock around here. Or you're going to bend and extend, kind of like a little frog legs. It doesn't have to be a big movement. You just want to make sure you're sitting back into the hips and we're not experiencing any pain in the knee, in the hip. And then release, point the toes forward. And even again, let's all bring the feet in a little bit closer, even, hip distance. Shake it out here, rock it out. Soft knees, go ahead and roll it on up one vertebra at a time. Lift at the top, give it a little rock. We're gonna take tree pose. So you can do that with support, with the wall, with the chair. And again, if it's not comfortable to rotate the knee, just bring the legs straight up and you'll just be working your balance. Otherwise, we're gonna ground through the left leg, rotate the right hip, and the foot can place at the ankle, the calf, or towards the inner thigh. And you can use balance here. You can have your hands at your hips, hand to heart and belly, or you can reach up. So finding that full moon tree pose right now always says a lot when we work with our balance. See what's going on with the body. Lengthen, stretch, open everything up. Breathe deep, feel your roots down into the earth, opening towards the full moon, rounded, open, receptive, big inhale, and exhale, gently release. Give it a nice little shake. And then adjusting to switch sides, so grounding through the right leg. And you might just bend your left knee up, or you can rotate open, ankle, calf, or thigh. Hands to hips or heart, or reach up. Each side is different. So if last side was effortless, this side still could be challenging, or vice versa, or maybe they are similar tonight. Never can tell. Feel yourself grounding through your foot, lifting through your crown, blossoming through your hips and your heart. Soften the eyes, the mouth. I believe this is the flowering moon in some of the Native American lunar calendars. So again, connect to that mid-spring. I think it is. I think May is flowering. I might have to double check that, but big breath and release. Shake it out. Okay, so we're going to come through an asymmetrical hip opener. I'm going to suggest single pigeon, or of course you can take sleeping pigeon, or if you have another, if you prefer lizard. So we're kind of working with something asymmetrical, so right and then left. So if you have a hip opener that you prefer that is asymmetrical, you are welcome to take that. I'm in the mood for pigeon, and then of course again sleeping pigeon's a great alternate. So if you're coming onto your back for sleeping pigeon, you can just make your way onto your back, and if you want to go through cat cow or down dog or do anything else, we'll take about a minute or so to kind of get set up. If you're coming through single pigeon, again, same thing. It might make sense to come into a down dog, even wiggle and stretch a little bit here. And if you're coming through down dog or tabletop, sometimes it can even be nice to lift the legs before you come through, bend the knees, stack the hips. So if that's in your practice and you're planning on working with single pigeon and you want to come to down dog and play with lifting each leg, opening the hips, or again, any kind of movement. And just give yourself some time to get settled, right? We want to connect to the earth. We want to ground. And then when you're ready, we will move into right side. So if you're coming in a single pigeon, the right knee comes forward. If you're on your back, the right ankle might stack over the left leg. If you're in single pigeon, the back knee, I like you to support that. So a pillow, a bolster. You can even put something underneath the right hip. And you can be upright on your hands. You can be on blocks. You can fold down. You can also bring pillows or a bolster here to rest on. And if you're on your back, the left foot can stay down as the right foot crosses, or you can hug the left knee in, or you can push it into a wall. But just as in the beginning, I want to connect to the earth. So it won't be as intense because you're obviously in a one-sided pose. But once you settle, I do want you to take a couple breaths where as you inhale, you sort of squeeze what you comfortably can. So your hands, your face, your butt, like squeeze, and then exhale, let go. Because a lot of times, like we don't realize how much we're holding tension in the body until we do something like that. And that's why that's just such a great technique. I've actually been had a really like rough week with my kid last week, and we were both working with that where it's just like, hold on, just squeeze all the tension in the muscles and then let it go, right? Because it's just so easy to just get so tense, especially when there's emotions coming up. And there's a lot of emotions coming up right now for all of us, not just adults, children, pets, right? Like we're all feeling this right now, and it's easy to feel like it's just us, but it's not. That's one thing I've always liked about the moon practice is that regardless of politics, religion, anything else, like most of the time we can all agree we're under the full moon, right? Like it's a full moon. I'm not saying there's not people out there who have their beliefs about maybe, the moon isn't real or something like that. But generally speaking, real or not, we can all look outside and see the moon and think, hey, the moon's full. Because no matter where you are on the planet, even though the seasons differ, our moon is the same shape, right? So it is something we all have in common. And we're all affected by it. We all feel it, whether we admit it or not. So this is a practice where we admit it and we harness it and we reflect on it and we appreciate it. So give yourself the next several breaths to just try to let go. And notice the sensations, notice your senses, come back to your breathing. Just try to be here fully in your body, in your hip, on the earth. Take a big inhale, pause at the top, feel the body. Open mouth, exhale. Can you let go a little bit more into the earth? Slowly make your way up. And similarly, you're going to take, about a moment or so, about a minute or so to transition. If you're in pigeon and you want to play a little bit, you can always bend the back leg for the quad stretch and hold that left foot with the left hand and lift the heart. Otherwise, in either position, you can come through on your back. You can hug your knees in. You could even take a couple bridge poses to stretch out the hip. If you're coming through down dog, you can take a little flow, or you can start stacking the legs again. You can even come through all fours, do some circles or child's pose. And sort of intuitively finding your flow here. And then when you're ready, we will come to side two. And it is fine to adjust. So if you were in pigeon on the right side and then you get here on the left side and you're like, no, that doesn't feel right, then come on the back or vice versa. It's fine. These poses are similar enough. They're opening up the same part of the body. So you can definitely just kind of alternate them. But oftentimes the left side is the tighter side for a lot of folks. So make sure to pad the back knee if you're in pigeon, or if you're on your back, just make sure the head and the tailbone are resting on the earth. And then again, once you think you're settled, do that engage and release. Take a big squeeze and hold, and then see if you can just let go a little bit more here. And you can always rock the hips, rock the forehead, but just try to stay here. Stay with the senses, the sensation, the breath. Make sure you're breathing, just a few more breaths. Big, big breath in, hold at the top, and then exhale, let it go, let it all go, empty out. And then start to shift so you can come out the same way you did before. Our next pose will be bound angle. So if you're in pigeon, you can always shift to the left and then slide the right foot around, but you can come back through child's pose or down dog. And same thing on your back. If you want to stay on your back, you can just bring the soles of the feet together on your back and just make it more passive. Otherwise, take your time. And you can be, this is a pose you can be in a long time. So pressing your feet together, heels in, spine lifts, and you can definitely just do some movement here too, some cat cow, some circles, or bow forward. Oh, I did forget, if you were in pigeon though, you could add that quad stretch. I knew something felt weird there. I'm gonna go back and do that real quick. So if you weren't in pigeon, then continue with bound angle. Or if you were in pigeon and didn't do the quad stretch. And then again, come into bound angle, either on your back or seated with movement, or just coming into the forward fold. Okay, that's better. Even for bound angle, if you want to grab a bolster or any kind of props and lay over it. And the closer the heels are to the pelvis, the deeper this will get into the hips. You can also take that a little bit further away. And you can put support under the thighs too. So if you put some blocks under each leg, under each knee, thigh, then that'll take any kind of pressure out too. You can have your elbows ground into your thighs. Press your feet together. Big, big breath in, open mouth, let it go. Roll it on up. And you can bring your hands behind you, press your hands down, lift your heart, stay just like this, or lift your hips. So just a gentle heart opener, and or stretch the hips the other way with the heart opener, lifting and release. Hug the knees in for a moment. So we've got time for one more good hip opener, and just depending on your energy level, your mobility level, I'm going to give you the option. And I usually give these options together. So you can come into frog prep. If that's too much, you can do a seated wide leg, or you can come onto your back and do happy baby. You could even just come onto your back and do Supta Baddha Konasana if you want to set up and just have a long, have like a long Supta Baddha Konasana. You can just even skip this part. Otherwise, like I said, you can do happy baby on your back. You can do wide legs seated, or for frog pose, you want to make sure you've got something that's not going to slide. So it's nice to put like a blanket out on the mat just for some extra padding. But with frog, the knees are wide as they can get, and then the toes turn out. So it looks like frog legs. And they don't have to be perfectly aligned, but you do want kind of the knee and the ankle roughly in the same line, foot flexed. And then we bring the hips back. So we're not sticking the butt up and we're not tucking the tailbone. The hips are coming straight back. And this is a very intense position. And obviously there's a lot going on here. So this isn't a pose that is necessarily accessible for everyone all the time. So legs wide is going to open up everything. Happy baby is basically this pose, except you're on your back, right? And you're not having the gravity create this effect. But it is a very potent hip opener, and it's one I usually do with Scorpio. Actually, I'm going to scoot back to push my feet into the closet. So that's the offering. You can just come into a Supta Baddha Konasana, lay back, support your thighs, and just relax. You can do wide legs. Or, maybe you try frog for a few breaths and then you come into one of those. But we're going to give it 2 more minutes. So if you need to come out, if you need to move, any of the variations, like I said, listen to your body, listen to your intuition. Wherever you are, breathe deep. Feel into the earth, that connection with the earth. You can, again, squeeze your muscles and then let them go. Try to relax into this. Try to let go. Invite that shedding, that nourishment of the soil. One minute to go. Last minute. 30 seconds, big, big breath in wherever you are. Fill, expand, hold, 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 and open mouth. Let go, let go. Surrender into the earth, yield into the earth. And then slowly, slowly. So if you're in frog, you're either going to want to kind of come forward and then bring your feet in, or come all the way onto your belly. If you are in wide legs, you can start to gather your legs in. If you're in happy baby, obviously you can just hug the knees in. If you're in supta, you can stay there. And give yourself just a moment. Any movement or symmetrical pose that feels good, like a child's pose, down dog, knees to chest. And then yogi's choice, if you want to finish in a Supta Baddha Konasana, laying over bolster or pillows, soles of the feet together supported, or if your sleep or energy levels have really been affected, you might want to just put your legs up the wall. And we are going to have about a 6 or 7 minute Shavasana. But if you want longer than that, which I always recommend, if you can get a 20-minute Shavasana, it's a good practice. But we at least want to have, usually a minimum of 5 minutes. So we got about a minute or two over that. But again, take your time if there's anything you need to do first, so your body can really let go here. Let yourself ground, back of the body. And if one more time, we want to take a big breath and squeeze and tighten and hold, and then release. Feel the earth around you, within you, gratitude for the earth energy, the physical landscape of our bodies, our planet, our home, which allows us to contain this emotional, intuitive, cleansing, shaping energy of water. Water, which is so important in our bodies, on the planet, connecting the unconscious, the super conscious, our dreams, our intuitions, our emotions. And so we invite this full moon to pour down over us, this soma, this nectar. We invite the full moon to gently offer this soma down through the head and the face, the neck and the throat, down the spine, the central channel, our shoulders and arms and hands, our chest and back and belly and hips and pelvis, down our legs and our feet. Just imagining that full moon above you, pouring that soma through your physical body, like the most nourishing, the most fulfilling, my brain wanted to say fertilizer, but that didn't seem quite right. Like compost tea, basically. So compost is often Scorpio. If you've ever composted, right, you put everything in the container, and over time it creates this liquid that is so rich and so fertile. And it's powerful, and it's a process. And that's really what this full moon is. It's the most potent fertilizer, the most potent compost tea, which again is not the most attractive language, right? Like soma is a lot more romantic and poetic, but that's what it is, and compost is so important. If there's an Earth Day intention you can set, it can be starting to compost things a little bit, or making sure your things get to compost. Beginning to, work with that energy of transformation and nourishment through transformation. And so let your body settle into the earth, let the soma circle through you, and creating that beautiful, fertile energy cleanse, to clear, to transform. Just give yourself these next few minutes, grounded, open, receptive, juicy. Just every exhale, letting go to the earth a little more. Every inhale, drinking in that soma, that nectar. Just let yourself let go into this energy just a little bit longer. Som Somaya Swaha. Som Somaya Swaha. Som Somaya Swaha. Om. All parts of the body in contact with the earth. All parts open to the moonlight. The body remains soft and still as you take another big breath. Again, imagine just drinking in that nourishing nectar through the whole body. As you take that big inhale, the body fills and expands and brightens and holds. The body is just overflowing with this moon nectar. And then when you need to let go, open mouth with a sigh, with gratitude. We ground, we release, we receive. You can bring back movement or start to transition from the pose in any way that feels good, movement or stillness. You can also continue to rest. Shifting, circling, stretching. You can slowly make your way up to a comfortable seat, whatever that is for you tonight after all those hip openers. And a heart, hand to belly, and gentle rock. We'll finish with 3 sounds of Om, honoring your body temple, honoring the body temples, the physical temples all around us, and of course our Mother Earth and our Grandmother Moon. And you can just listen or hum or join in. Big breath. Om. Om. Oh. Hands towards heart, rub the palms, inhale. Exhale, left hand to the left palm up, right hand to the right palm down, connecting our virtual full moon circle. Big, big, big inhale, lift and open and hold, hold. Exhale out the mouth, hands to earth, and we bow. Somaya Swaha, we invoke, we bow to, we surrender to the juicy nectar of the moon. Many blessings. Have a good week, and I hope to see you all soon. Thank you.